when you think of this generation specifically, AI is going to write their emails, look at their data, and really that digital footprint. But from a people perspective, AI is not going to build trust, navigate conflict, read the room, have soft skills. Those are going to be a premium.
Welcome back to UNHIREABLE, your podcast for an honest take on early career. I'm Kira, and I'm here with Miley, our other producer. And today we're joined by Kevin and Matt to kick off a conversation with Tracie Meier, who is a corporate executive in HR at a Fortune 100 tech company. Before we bring her on, we wanted to sit down with Kevin and Matt to talk through what's coming up in this episode, why we invited Tracie, and why this topic matters right now. So I'll pass it off to you guys. Why are we talking with Tracie today?
So Tracie came to us through our corporate relations team here at UW, who I think knew her from a previous role at another Fortune 100 tech company. We'll let her divulge all of those details. But she's, I think, got a long history within HR. I think she's very committed and concerned around what Gen Z and current college students are going through to transition. She's very aware of AI. So I think she's going to talk to that. And that feels like kind of the building blocks of what we really want to talk about right now with our students and our audience. When we met with her a while ago to sort of talk about the podcast and having her on, the other thing is I feel like she has two things, a vantage point and a voice that will really lend itself to giving sort of an honest take on where things are. Right? Isn't that what we do? Yeah, we do an honest take on early career. So why not invite people even more honest and more involved in the trenches, as it were?
To talk about early career.
Yeah.
I think it's good for us to continually hear from, top employers about what's going on in the early career space, but particularly since in the last couple of years with AI, I think things have changed so quickly that it really we really need to kind of make sure we're calibrated to what's going on and what's changing and how it's changing, and it's changing so quickly that really one conversation is not going to do it. We need to kind of see what's going on across the space. So I think Tracie's experience is quite diverse in that way from multiple companies, particularly with a focus on early career and early talent. So right in the sweet spot of what we need to talk about.
All right.
I feel like I need headphones.
I know.
Sorry.
We're sending those to you virtually.
So thanks so much for joining us, Tracie. We're excited to have this conversation. We feel lucky to have you here. I wonder if you could just start by telling us just kind of a little about your professional journey, kind of how you got to where you are and what you do now, so people kind of have a sense of what your perspective is on the stuff we'll be talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So hello and happy to be here with UNHIREABLE. I am Tracie Meier. I'm a corporate executive in human resources, and my specialty is human and tech. I've been in tech for more years than I'm going to communicate right now, but I fell into human resources by accident. I have a bachelor in business, went into sales. And then from sales, I was like, what am I going to do with my career and what do I want to be when I grow up? So I did a little bit of a journey and landed and went back to college, right? I love the college experience. So I worked for a university and decided to go get my master's degree at that point in operations and a second master's in market strategy, because I didn't want people to think that I was so narrow-minded in operations. And so I was like, oh, okay, then I'm also going to show people that I'm strategic. So I went back, I was working at a university, so I was grateful enough to get some education paid for. I got my master's degree, and along the way, I didn't plan on being in human resources. I landed a job and was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. I really like it. And so I really started to expand different avenues within the human resources field. My career really took off when I hit the Fortune 500 in financial services, and I can give you some good, bads, and uglies, but I then experienced what I really, really love and what I'm passionate about is talent management, org design, leadership development, I love all assets, but what I'm really, really good at is working with executives and saying, how are we going to make money in the future? And what's the people strategy to get there?
Mhm.
Um, I then was grateful enough to get pulled into tech. So I have spent a ton of time working with executives. I also own early career programs. And so part of a talent pipeline is looking at everything from campus to corporate to who's going to be our next C-suite. And so over the last, I'd say 20 years, that has been something I've been focused on. I've had dedicated jobs to leadership development. I've had dedicated jobs to university and campus to corporate programs. So I have an understanding of what it means for um, campus hires to land in corporate America. I also understand what the corporate executives want when we're hiring, whether that's early career or elsewise. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm happy to dive into wherever you want to go from there.
Wow, so much great stuff. I wonder. I kind of want to talk about all those things, but I wonder, as you were talking, it reminded me that often when we work with students and they're sort of trying to imagine where their first job or two will be after they graduate, and they don't necessarily have a sense of like what those things are. So, what would you tell someone about kind of this broad umbrella of HR? And because you talked about lots of elements there and kind of how they fit together and what role that plays in it. So like, let's say somebody like, I think I might want to do HR, but they are like, I don't think you really know what that is. How would you describe that to them?
Well, it's funny because if I flip flop and I was giving my some career advice and somebody would have said, "Oh, do you want to go into human resources?" I would have said, "I have no idea what human resources does." And so I think there is a wonderful connection at universities now where we have a portfolio of, hey, go explore what it is to manage people, go
Mm,
explore what it is to have leadership development. I would say from a human resources perspective, if you are thinking, I love people, I want to go into this, don't pick HR, right?
mm,
You don't go into human resources for the people. And I think that is a little bit of an
interesting.
anomaly. You go into it for the work and the elevation of people. But if you're a real people person, like, hey, I really love to work with people and I'm an extrovert and I think being with people all the time, go into sales, go into a profession where you're really going to have that day-to-day human connection. Human resources has a human connection, but it is a lot of times the operational people element arm around the business.
Mm,
And so one of the fun things that I can explain to the future generations, this generation coming into the workforce now, is AI. So there is a ton of churn in human resources. We're replacing the traditional human resources roles with AI. So if you love AI, then come on over, right?
mm,
If you love, and that's not necessarily always people. We
uh-huh.
want to recruit using technology. We want to get data. We want to talk to the business in data and metrics. So if you love AI, this actually could be a home for you.
Hmm. That's super interesting. I think that as you're talking about uh, that sort of assumption that if you like people, that's where you'd want to go, or I want to work with people every day.
Mhm.
That's what people might assume, but wouldn't necessarily be true. I think that's really interesting. I think that's actually that reminded me of sociology actually, and lots of undergraduates and social science in general who come to those fields as undergrads because they are interested in people and social relationships, and then you see the people who actually do sociology. You're like, yeah, that's not that kind of person. More not quite operations, but like you're looking for patterns uh, but that's super interesting. I'd love to talk more about the AI part of that, but
So, Tracie, just to dovetail, because we're kind of in that very first stages of career finding space right now, um, a lot of times we will go in front of entering first year students, fresh into college students, and ask them, hey, what kind of jobs can you expect to get with a bachelor's degree? And they'll peter out at like 6 jobs, and they're all jobs that they've heard of in other contexts. Like I can be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or a teacher. Um, there are these very defined roles. And because you have this long experience within HR, what sort of realistic expectations would you tell someone early in their sort of early career exploration space? What kind of jobs should college grads be looking for these days?
Well, let me just back up.
Okay.
So I have a couple Gen Zers that I have children, so that are Gen Zers, and I talk to them and their friends all the time. And I would say take a risk and don't be afraid to pick up a job. So target is absolutely okay. And I would say, don't wait until you graduate from school to have your first job, right? Like, I don't care if you don't need it. It's experience. If you don't need it financially, that's okay. Pick up a job, work at the golf course, work at Target, do something that gets you some skills. And what I will say is, you're going to quickly realize what you don't like. I don't like that manager. I don't like showing up at 8 to 5. I don't like, and I think, perfect. That's exactly what we want. So when I'm talking to the future leaders, I'm generally saying, great. If you don't enjoy that, then now you know how to be a better manager, but also you know what to look for. If you like routine, then you might want to work at the Amazon warehouse, right? If you like to know what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis. If you don't care, then pick a skill there. So that kind of starts to get you, like, college can give you an assessment, your personality type, you're really learning who you are as a person, but now put it into practice. And don't wait till that first job. But if you didn't have the opportunity to pick something up and you were a sports kid, or you fantastic, all of that teaches you skills. Do I like to be a team player? Do I like to, be the free throw shooter versus, like, what's your expertise? Do you like that? So figuring out who you are, and then go after a job. And the first one might not be the perfect one. And so what I would say is, if you're thinking, I want to be in tech because that's where all the money is, or I really want to work at Microsoft because it's cool and it's in the Redmond area, then go have a bunch of interviews with people and say, if you were going to hire me, where would you tell me to focus? What jobs are generally open? How would I get my foot in the door? Be curious, get some advice, lean on the people who know. Networking is amazing. And then I will just close my comment with, if you network with someone and you land a job, I don't care where you land a job. You go back to every person you networked with, so keep a list and say, "Hey, Tracie, I really appreciated your time. Wanted to let you know I landed at University of Washington in the talent management role, and I really appreciate it. If there's anything I can do to follow up with you, or anything I can do for you, let me know." But close the loop, because they're giving you their time, and time is the thing they cannot get back. So just make sure you close the loop, because guess what? You're going to need another job. And when that next job comes, they're going to say, that person reached out. They might not have landed at my company, but they said thank you. They landed a role, and I'm willing to help them again. So take a chance, take a risk. Even if you think it's not the thing you want, I think a bunch of early career graduates are like, this isn't what I planned on.
Right.
And that's absolutely okay. It's absolutely, every job will give you a skill or a talent that you can take to the next.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really valuable advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like there's a carryover in a lot of students today to expectations about what career was like really a long time before they were born, in the sense that you just kind of start the rest of your career when you graduate, and then you sit in your career for, until you retire. Not that they literally expect that, but a linearity and a sort of path that becomes obvious, versus, I think, what you're talking about and what I think drives our interest in part of our interest is because we're working with college students, but early career as like a different kind of thing than mid-career, late career, really about exploration, risk, and I love the way you talk about really kind of self-discovery in a way, and identifying about who you are and what your strengths are, and not just taking for granted that you would necessarily know or have to know those things right when you graduated. But that there's some part of your career that is still part of career that is an exploratory phase or a development and growth phase. We always want growth and development throughout the career, but that is different. Different about early career than mid-career, and it's not just because you're young or cheap or unpaid or whatever, but there's a kind of a different goal as a candidate or an employee in early career compared to put yourself on the right trajectory for mid and late career. I don't know maybe I'm wrong about that. Tell me I'm wrong about that.
No, look. So here's the thing. Everybody's got a different definition. So early career can mean a campus hire. Like
Uh-huh.
you graduated from a 4-year undergraduate degree and a corporation hires you. That is an early career by definition by most companies. I don't even know if they had that back when I graduated. I was like, I had no idea. I
Me
wish I
either.
would have known. Um, Also, like we had they could have been college degree or non-college degree individuals working in the retail store. So we created a retail to corporate pipeline. And so we still considered that early career roles. It wasn't by age, it was
Right.
by definition of role. So we then went with, hey, you might have a university degree and you might not. And then at other companies, we will consider under 5 years of the company being early career.
Mm.
So that's not an age thing. So, right. So
Uh-huh.
it's like it's level and tenure. So not an executive, but level and tenure. So there are individuals, and I will say this because I'm a working mom, but there are, a lot of times you get into a career moment. And it's like, boy, I don't know if I'm ready to take the next because I need to prioritize my family. That's absolutely okay. Uh, or, there's the sandwich generation. I got to take care of my parents. And so those aren't always early career, but as you go through your journey, it's not going to be linear. It's when, you're going to get a role. Most of us are going to get laid off once or twice. Welcome, welcome, right? And then we're going to experience something else. We're going to decide we want a career shift. Some people wait till they're 40 and go, oh, this isn't what I wanted, and career shift. So from the early career into corporate, I know they want a playbook, but the playbook is go for it, take a risk, be curious, say yes, and continue to move forward. And there's going to be some downers, right? Like there
Yeah.
really are. The best day is when you accept your job offer, right? That is the
Mm.
best day of the job. And then you go into the job and you get all your learnings. But a lot of these early career Gen Z, it's like, just know that once you get there, many people are hungry then for the next. I spend a lot of time going, time out. You just got here, learn the company, learn the skills, take advantage, sit tight. And so the hunger to get to the next and elevate to the next, it's daunting on managers, right? They are really trying our manager population. And, it's be patient. My best example, that I can give, there's probably a better one if somebody has it. We can prepare everybody to be a CFO. I only have one CFO position. So if all of you are prepared and all of you have the skill and all of you have the desire, I really still only have one CFO. And so there's this interesting, but I have the skill, but I'm ready.
Right.
But I'm like, you probably are. Maybe not. But in your mind, you are, right? But now you have to be ready in the business's mind, and there has to be a need, and there has to be a role. And so now we're sitting in corporate America going, oh, it's not just about me. It's not just about me being ready. But if you're not ready, then you lose the game. So get ready, build the skills, show up. And when I say show up, look people in the eye, have a firm handshake, meet the people at work, network, and do your job.
Hmm.
Tracie, do you think this generation is having a challenge around some of those things you just mentioned? Showing up, look them in the eye, be an adult, learn how to adult in that space. Have you seen cases of that?
I think some are and some aren't.
Okay.
It's an interesting, um, I'll say it's a pivot point. I call this generation our future leaders. And if we do not learn from this generation, they're as big as the baby boomers. They're going to come up, they're going to come fast, and they don't like the way that it's been done. So a part of them are like, I didn't graduate during COVID, right? High school. So then I went to college. Some of them started college remote. Some of them didn't. So when I see that group of people, they're a little bit like, I graduated, I went to school, I did all of this stuff remote. Why do I have to show up to work? There are those questions. I see a fast follow from that, like these campus programs, a fast follow of the next group of wave is like, no, I want to be there. I want to be in person. Right. I'm hungry for that interaction. So you have a little bit of both in this generation. I would say you're gonna win if you have the grit to show up, to shake hands, to perform well. Anybody that's listening to this that goes to University of Washington or any other university, you're smart cookies. Like you are really smart and you're competing against a lot of other smart people. You will win. And I know this is hard to hear. Sometimes you will win by playing the politics. Show up to work, be early, shake hands, be kind to others. And sometimes it's like, do I have to? It's like, no, but do you want the promotion? Yeah. Okay, then do it, right? Like, what's the problem? Like, we're not asking. And at the same time, they're shifting the culture of maybe we're not 8 to 5, maybe we're not 40 hours in the office. And I think that is fantastic. I do think cultures have to change. And I think this generation is going to be that. So I think we have a balance between what they can shift and change and what's already in place. But yeah, I think we're going to see a trajectory. They're willing to rock the boat. They're willing to have health and well-being. They're willing to ask the why questions. And I think I'll say my generation was just so grateful to have a job. We were squished between a few generations that it probably wasn't always the best healthy decision. And so now I see the future leaders really saying, hey, this is how we want to lead. And I see them on podcasts. I see them changing the way we watch TV or no TV. I see how they communicate via their phones versus email. They will shift the dynamic. It's just not quite shifted yet. So I think some of them, if you land in a culture that hasn't changed yet, you're likely to get more frustrated.
When we had a little bit of pre-conversation before this meeting, you mentioned that you kind of had a few different buckets and ways of thinking about early talent, and mentioned that these three. Well, I'll call them buckets, but people, potential, and passion. And I was very interested in sort of that framework in hearing from you. How does that sort of help us understand, either from the perspective of a student and a candidate, but also I think really interesting to have your lens on kind of how the organization as a whole evolves, and talking about future leadership and really a longer growth path than just kind of getting your job. I might be reading you too much, but I'm interested to know what you're thinking with that kind of typology of people, potential, and passion.
So first, people, potential, and passion. It's not a secret. Threes, like, right? If you think of threes, like you go to the neuroscience, if you're interested in the HR profession, think neuroscience, org psychology, all of those things. It's really easy for people to kind of partner with. So one of the things that I really try to come with is how can we make sure that we're communicating in a way that people will grab onto. So the PPP is just a way for me to, right? Like, what are the things and how do I bucket them? But the people piece is like connecting in an age of AI. So Gen Z, they're digital natives. Like they grew up in a digital era. We can all say my first cell phone was whenever. I'm older than Google. You guys probably are too, right? I went to college without internet. I lived in microfiche, probably not even a thing anymore. But when you think of this generation specifically, AI is going to write their emails, look at their data, and really that digital footprint. But from a people perspective, AI is not going to build trust, navigate conflict, read the room, have soft skills. Those are going to be a premium. So when I think about Gen Z and this future generation thriving in the digital space, real world communication is still where careers are made. Networking isn't just like about LinkedIn, it's showing up, following up, and being someone people want to work with. And so when I think of the people bucket, it's a blend of their digital native excellence and making sure that they continue to navigate the soft skills. That will give them, it's going to be a premium and it's going to be something that will get noticed.
We've had this challenge, their native digital aspect, but I think we've seen this on this campus. Some students actually are afraid or reluctant to engage with AI to help them in some of those other ways. I don't know, what's your perspective on that, considering that it's going to be a part of their job at work?
Yeah, get over it. Right? And I would say for they're not unique. Every generation, people are afraid of AI. They're not sure how to use it. In a world of work, we are changing tools and technology at such a rapid pace that if change is not in your vocabulary, then don't go to corporate America. It is, it's it's the wave of the future. It is here and it is here to stay. And I would be surprised because they are digital natives that they're maybe not thinking of it correctly.
Mm.
And so for me, I'll give you like I kind of shied away from it. Oh, a new tool. Oh, a new technology. How am I going one more thing to learn? Oh, I'm tired. And it's the interesting concept for me is I've just been posting on LinkedIn lately and it's use AI and have fun.
Hmm.
It's not always a drain. So I was like, oh, I had AI order my coffee for me in the morning, and I had the dog food automatically delivered to the house, and I had a grocery list for the week created with a PDF that was like, here's the meals I'm going to have with the week and the shopping list. And then I sent it over to the grocery store and it was ready for pickup. I could probably have it delivered if I wanted. And guess what? All that is AI. And then I took a fun picture of me and my dog on a walk using a digital thing. And when I open my phone, it has face recognition. That's AI. And when I needed to send my son, congratulations, you got your first law internship. Had AI help me write something more empathetic than I might have written myself. So it was heartfelt. So I did all that in one day, which allowed me to go to dinner with my husband and allowed me time to sit on the back porch and have coffee in the morning. And it really elevated my day. So use it for fun, right? And so if you can put those lenses on the AI, it's great. When I talk about this to my teams at work, I talk about, okay, we're comparing month over month, quarter over quarter data to show us themes and trends. I'm an Excel wizard, but boy, if I can drop it into AI and it pumps out some data for me that I can then say, wow, did you notice that your trend quarter over quarter is like this? I now have to put the lens over it and really think about why, or is it giving me the right information and what's the story behind it? But I no longer have to spend hours on pivot tables, VLOOKUPs, and the data. I need to know how to do them so I can double check my work. But when I go talk to an executive, I'm not showing them pivot tables
Mm.
and data analysis. I now have like an executive on the side that's doing that for me called AI, a generative AI over here. And now I'm able to go really talk about strategy and our hiring numbers are up. The time to fill a job is down. Our retention rates are up. That shows us, right, the people who are in role are lasting longer. Our early career talent, we're now able to track them through their executive. So it's like, how long have they been with us? What skills did they learn? AI is giving me all the data. Now it's for us to say, we're going to double down on our college recruiting because it is so successful. So it's really something to get excited about versus nervous about. And if you can embrace it, it's gonna be a whirlwind, but it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I want to follow up on a couple things too, but how about potential and passion?
Yep. So when I think of potential, I think that and we'll just use the AI lens. So AI is not going to replace your potential.
Mm.
Mm.
You have potential. It in companies in corporate America, we reward curiosity, not shortcuts. Right? The ability to learn fast, ask the right questions, connect the dots across data and humans are all there. Tech fluency is going to be a baseline. Business fluency, which if you're not in corporate America yet, you don't have. You might think you do, you don't have. Every organization has their own business fluency. Every time I switch the job, I need to figure out I got a baseline skill set, but what's the fluency of this business and this corporation? Ethics will continue to be high priorities. AI can take us off rails, and ethics is always a priority, but pay attention to ethics and problem solving. And if you can if you can make those things happen, you'll have an edge. So potential is about making sure you come to the game, making sure that you're playing the game, making sure you're investing in the game, and like build your skill set, build your fluency along the way. And if you balance that with the potential, which is the people piece, right? Like you got the people part of it, you go, oh, okay, so I'm growing myself and I know I have potential and I'm building that. You're then going to continue to grow yourself, the company, the function, the profession. So you need to start to think outside of yourself and build something for the betterment of what you're doing. So build your skills. And you can take those skills anywhere you go,
Hmm.
right? Like go if I build my skills at this company and I go to the next company, I'm more value add because I've built my fluency. I now can navigate at a higher level and I have a bigger edge.
Mm.
It's perfect.
And I would say the third bucket for me, and it's not the only bucket, but it's passion,
Hmm.
right? So Gen Z wants purpose,
Hmm.
which is powerful. The number of hours of giving that I build into a program is intentional. And so I'll give you an example. I have the Gen Z build bikes. And so we have all the wheels and the horns and the tassels, and we put them into groups. So we're teaching them team building, things they already know, and we're giving them instructions, things they already know. And then we're telling them we want the pink bike with the pink tassels and the pink wheels, and we say, this is the bike you need to go build, and they go build it. And then we bring in the customers, and the customers are the children who get the bike. And guess what? It's like, oh, I had oh shoot, I had a blue bike and pink tassels and an orange horn, and I forgot to put on the seat. And so what we do is we use that passion that Gen Z has. And they have huge passion to give, and we're going to donate these bikes to underprivileged children. Great, fantastic. But we also are teaching them the potential of building their skill set. Why didn't you work with your team members? Why, when your bike wasn't finished, didn't you help the others? Why did you put the blue tassels on when it said pink? Why did you use a green seat instead of an orange seat? So we walk them through all these simplified thinking, talking to their passion, which is world and the betterment, and they, in the language they understand, to be better corporate citizens. There is huge passion in Gen Z. I will just say purpose is earned, not declared. So use your passion to get to your purpose. It's built by that passion needs to show up on time. It needs to do the hard things.
Hmm.
It needs to stick with it when it's not what it wants to do. But your passion will fuel your reputation. And it matters. And it matters not only with AI. So get your face out of your phone, put your phone in your pocket, talk to people, learn the skills, and have fun along the way. I think if you can kind of harness those three things together, you're going to build a pretty good career.
Hmm.
This is super interesting. There's like so many great nuggets in here that it's like impossible to like follow up on all of them. But I know that in our earlier conversation, we talked a little bit about kind of the evolution of college and the role college plays, and a lot of the things that you've been talking about, and there are things that we've heard from other places and talked about as well, kind of in all these areas in people, potential, and passion, and really going back to the earlier part of this conversation and just thinking about showing up and all the things we've been talking about. College doesn't teach those systematically because then every person who graduated would have those, which is not the case. Some do, some don't. How do people learn this? And I'm just, this is probably not an obvious, here's the one answer, but I'm curious, about your take on kind of what it is that sort of separates in the life path and experiences the people who really do stand out for you in the ways that you mention, and obviously many have potential, and then there's also a sort of, I was struck by your use of the word teach in early career, which is not something we usually associate, but we know is important in that stage. And what is the employer having to do all that teaching? Do they come in? What should they have when they get there? And then what is it up to the employer to help them learn or help them teach help teach them in order to kind of, there's like a lot of stuff in that question. But I'm just kind of
Yeah.
like, what makes people into these people we're after?
I don't know, right? I mean, that's the $10,000
It is.
question. So I will tell you, I can get behind this future generation because I am confident. These are our future leaders.
Mm,
They are ready to come in. They are ready to lead. I'm not oblivious to the fact that people will say, "Oh, Gen Z is lazy," or "Gen Z." I don't know. I think they're just different. Every generation has
yes.
a hiccup, right? It's whatever the hiccup is, and then it's kind of like a technology. This tool stinks until the next tool comes out, and then it was the best tool we had. It's like, oh, this class was the worst class until the next class comes out, but the last class was the best class now that the new class is.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's so
Uh-huh.
they're just in the we're the newest generation in the
Yes,
workforce, and
exactly.
so we're getting scrutinized. So I would say forget about it, show up. The people that often show up well are the ones that take advantage of everything that's offered. So if you're lucky enough, not every company has the same offerings, but if you're lucky enough to work for a big corporation that has an early career program that you're accepted into. That first year is really all about you. The programs are all about you. And some people mail it in.
Hmm.
Mm,
It's, oh, I showed up because I had to. If you take advantage of what's offered, you're going to realize that our goals are the same as yours. My energy around you getting promoted is amazing. My energy about you learning the company is amazing. I'm not getting promoted. I'm here to help you get promoted. And
mhm.
I think there's a little bit of a miss in feels like a curriculum or feels like
Yeah.
a another class. I just finished university. I don't want to do this. It's hard. Do it. Do it. Shake hands, show up, talk to the executives that come in and give their time, shake hands with the alumni. So there's alumni who are in the campus to corporate program before you. Meet them, what worked for them, build your network, right? There are so many advantages. The ones that accelerate are the ones that are, they're going to the gym, they're joining the run club, there's a sail club, there's a whatever, the fitness on, and I'm showing up for coffee day, or there is an ERG for everything. And so find your home, find something. And in that something, you're going to have connections at work that matter. And those connections have information about work that matter. And
Mhm.
I'll give you a simple example. This isn't even a college program thing. So I have a daughter that works at the same company that I work for. She came in through a sales college hire program and has a cohort of friends. So of course I always go on the floor and, hey, how are you doing? And how is it going? And it's like, oh, your mom's the executive. So, but I try to, lean in. There are a few people who have connected with me on LinkedIn. My question is, why hasn't everybody? I I take the time, I come say hello, I shake your hand, I see how it's going. I do that to inspire them to come back. Yes, I want to say hi to my daughter as well, but right, like I'm not just, so it's like you are welcome to connect with me. It's now been a year, and there are 4 Gen Zers that sit around my daughter, so 5 girls, and those ladies said to my daughter, "Do you think your mom would go to the Mexican restaurant with us and spend some time talking to us about what executives want?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm happy to do that." And so they picked a date, they made the reservation, right? And so I sat at a table with 4 of them, and it was probably 90% laughing, having fun, talking about, oh, corporate dress versus college sweats, and then it's building the connection so that when they need something, they need a recommendation, they wanna know if I'm friends with another exec because there's a job in that function. Well done, team. Well done. They took advantage of the situation that was in front of them in a positive way.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You said one thing in there, Tracy, that I want to. Some of these folks who didn't take advantage of the early career programs at these organizations,
Mm.
that their disdain, might be too strong of a word, or just lack of interest in it, they thought it was like more school. And I think one of the things that we are at this podcast so open to open, honest critique of higher ed. Do you think higher ed is actually preparing them for these jobs?
No. I mean, we had this discussion before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, right, I, I would tell anybody go to college, get your degree. It's going to open doors. Like that's not that at this point, is college going to change in the next decade? I hope so.
Yeah, we
Right?
do
I
too.
hope we're going to evolve. I hope we're going to change. I hope we're going to get individuals business ready. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh, could we move college to 2 years and just give them the skills they need? There's a huge push right now for technical skills. Whether you want to be a plumber or an electrician. So it's now not all about the academic.
Mhm.
And then there's also a third push on the company side. And and I'm one of these as well, that I'm not just focused on the college hires, because there's a bunch of people that don't get the luxury of going through these programs that are also college hires or non-college hires. And so what are we as corporations doing to upskill people and ready them for the next role? And so I would say college hires, watch out, right? So it used to be like, here's the red carpet, here's the program. It's still there. But companies are now savvy enough to say, oh, maybe we don't have to spend all that money. Maybe we don't have to recruit that way. Maybe, maybe we've taught a bunch of people how to code and now we have AI. What are we going to do with those coders?
Yeah.
There are jobs for them. It's just different, right? And so I think college is a bunch the same. Academics, it's since, no offense to anybody that's listening, but why do we read the Glass Menagerie in high school? Like, my parents did it, we did it, my kids did it. I was like, why? Right? Is Dante's Inferno really going to make us a better corporate citizen? It's going to help us think and dialogue, but right, there are things that are not helpful. What is helpful? You're learning how to adult. You're learning how to be good corporate citizens. You're learning how to prioritize. But if you can't get up and show up and go to class on time and submit your homework on time, professors are not doing us a service when they're like, sure, go ahead and submit that late. I don't
Uh-huh.
want your project late. And if it's going to be late, I need a really good excuse. Like, hey, this thing over here that's going to generate XYZ revenue for the company is my shift in priority. So this one's going to be delayed. I'll buy that. But if they're not doing their assignment because they couldn't find time, tough cookies.
It's funny. I feel like the cliche when we were in college was that, if nothing else, college would teach you how to show up on time and do your work. And now I'm not sure we even teach that as effectively as we used to.
We don't.
If we did, I don't know. I think you're right, and our sort of ongoing conversation here has always been: can we change fast enough to what the market needs and what the world needs from our graduates? But then AI just kind of upended that in ways that are that we are having trouble even grasping, much less changing. But I appreciate your point. We've also heard in multiple places that, in some ways, all the things we've been talking about are not intrinsic to college graduates. None of those are, right? And adding in AI, which really can empower people regardless of their background to do things that kind of be powered up in a lot of ways. And I think you hit the nail on the head that whatever differentiated college students is shrinking in a way that it's not as special and not going to guarantee you things in the way that people maybe thought it would in the past. And whether we can adapt fast enough to bring some unique value back in, I don't know. But I do feel like that warning is one that people are not heeding
Yeah.
enough.
Well, I'm actually excited, right? Like if people, it's sort of like the conversation we just had. Take AI, have fun. I actually think that there is a future. Is we just have to harness it,
Yep.
figure out what it is, and the people with passion, like yourselves, the having the conversation, opening the doors. This is the start, right? It's the start of the future. I do think that this generation has as much to offer, if not more, than the people already in the workforce. They're the digital nativeness of the AI of the future. It's not scary to them. Like I'm thinking there won't even be email in the future. There won't, right? They don't like even to work on email. They work on Slack. They work on their phones. Even having computers, the generation and the way we do work is going to significantly change, as will academics, to match it. So if it's like show up or lose your space, right? And so I think the people who are willing to change and adapt and be leaders, they'll thrive.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of people look at me now and say, "Oh my gosh, how did you get where you got? I also want to be an executive. I want to work with the C-suite. How do I get there?" And it wasn't easy. I've been laid off a couple times. One, right after I had my twins, I was on maternity leave and lost my job. My husband was in grad school, no money. Holy moly. Like life happens. And so I sit here now saying I would not change a thing because all of those were learnings. But in the moment, there's panic. In the moment, there's frustration. The why me. And so if you can enjoy the journey, like just really enjoy the journey of finding your career and finding your place. It is scary at times. And I didn't know I would end up here, but I'm happy to be here. So I think a lot of times we ask the executives, and if they're real with themselves, they'll have to say, "Oh, I didn't plan it." Most of us don't. It's like, yeah, we want the next, and we need to get to the next. But you're asking the people that are there, right? When you're asking the people that are at the finish line and
Yeah.
are uber
Yeah.
successful, how did you do it? We can all pat ourselves on the back and say how amazing we are and the jobs we have and the big corporate companies we work for. The honesty is we were scrapping it a lot of the time. And, they're just pieces. For me, I would read books. Sheryl Sandberg said, lean in and say yes. And there was a point where I said yes to everything, almost to burnout. And then there's Marcus Buckingham, who's like the red thread. Just find the one thing at work that really gives you joy. And there's right. So for me, because I'm a learner, I lean on theories and books and neuroscience and to find the things along the way. It sure is a journey. I'd love to tell you it. Most of us, when we sit around with our egos, will tell you how great we were and how we got here. And the reality is it was hard. It was hard most of the time. And so when you're in your first job thinking this is hard, it's hard and I'm not making any money. Okay. Well, build your skill and go get you some more money in a better company. But it's hard. I mean, it's going to be a different kind of hard. You just got to choose your hard.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. We talk a lot about failure here, and I completely agree that most of our stories about failure come when somebody is super successful at the end, right? And we don't talk about it when you're in the moment, and like that's the hard part, right? And in particular, in early career, probably is the stage as a stage, the hard stage, right? When you're scrapping, you're trying new things aren't working out, you're having to find things like seem like they're never going to work out. Eventually, they did. It only helps so much to just say, yeah, it'll work out. But you just gotta. It does feel like people kind of hit a moment where they have to, choose or decide or just luck into whatever their response to that moment is. And we don't. I feel it's something we've talked. We don't spend enough time, unpacking that moment, the moment of failure, rather than the 5 years later after you converted the failure into a success, or 10 years or whatever. And how do we get through that moment? That's the hard part. But I think it goes back to what we've been talking about. How I think we've made school in a lot of ways too easy on the failure side. There really isn't a lot of. It's not that they're not working hard. They're like putting in a lot of hours of work. I hope, but there really isn't a lot of failure in school now. We do a lot to help people avoid failure in the sense that we're talking about now, and they are paying a lot of tuition. But if we could, this should be a safe place. This would be a good place to fail when it's safer. You're not going to get fired, and to have people around you supporting you so you can learn to grow from it, rather than people around you just kind of like insulating you from that.
Like Tracie, what you're just talking about. Okay, we're insulating people from failure. We're also insulating them from discomfort, right? It sounds like, from your vantage point now, so many of the biggest growth stages and sort of pivot points come from discomfort in a professional journey. But if college makes sure that you are never uncomfortable in any capacity, we are not setting them up for success. I mean, would you say that a lot of the growth that you've seen has come from those moments of discomfort?
Yeah, and if you're not willing to get uncomfortable, then you're not willing to change.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would also say, like, here's one of my frustrations and just having kids is we put so much pressure on academics
Mhm.
and we put the pressure comes on the grade.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And so we're in the Puget Sound area. So you got like Facebook and Google and Boeing and Microsoft. It's intense. It is. You got your Amazons and Expedias. It's intense. And it is all about, okay, you got into the good school and what are your grades? Even the public schools are intense. And so they're so intense that the kids are stressed out. And then all of a sudden you get accepted to college and none of that matters.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, now it's college. And then it's intense again because now I have to be whatever to get the Microsoft and the Google and I got to get that job or that internship. And so the pressure that we're embarking on I mean, I'm talking from teenage to through college is not on the right things. Like I want them to have pressure. You need to have a pressure cooker
Yes.
and get this comfort. But my heavens, like the the I watch the intensity of the parents and the kids and if the intensity and the focus, if we took that intensity and focus and moved it somewhere else, amazing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just shift the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have enough pressure. So I think what happens is like I have the pressure over here. I don't need it with the academics.
Mhm.
It's like the equation is just slight, in my opinion, slightly off.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. So I know we're wrapping this conversation up. Tracie, let's say you could predict the ideal college to career experience for the best and brightest future leader. Like, what would you want them to experience in college to prepare themselves for that future leadership role?
I want them to experience everything. Okay, so my first is have fun. Um, not crazy fun, but enjoy the journey, have fun, explore options, take risks, build your personal brand, whatever that is, right? Figure out who you are. So enjoy growing up, right? Most of us, some don't have the luxury of spending 4 years growing up and finding space to do this mental and physical well-being and who we are. So take advantage, have fun, enjoy the journey, and don't be lazy. Like, get the summer job, take the part-time barista just because you can. Go have networking interviews at 18 because you don't need a job till 23. Like, get uncomfortable in a good way, and don't wait till you have to, because all of a sudden that senior year, you have to. I have to find a job, I have to network, I have to get a I have to. So, there will be a have to, but have fun along the way, but use that journey to set a platform for the have to. Then the have to, it's like jobs still stink, recruiting stinks, putting your resume out there stinks. Once you have the job, you can celebrate. You're still gonna have to do all of that, just like the rest of us. Some of us are lucky and it's easy. That wasn't me, but some people are. But it's like use your parents, use your friends, use right? It's you have so much opportunity. I think of the Gen Z doing this podcast right here. Like crazy fun. Like this is stuff that's like not everybody's doing that. That's amazing. Well done.
Well, that feels like a positive spot
It does.
since we're congratulating our Gen Z colleagues in the room on the podcast. Tracie, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. Your stories, your insights, your candor, just perfect for what we need. And I really hope the students who hear this can take all of that to heart and act on it. That would be my goal from this. I think words are words, but actions dictate how the future could unfold. And I think the advice you've lent us today is just great. So thank you so much. Can't thank you
Likewise.
enough.
Thank you back.
Awesome. Well, good to go. Thanks for joining us on Unhireable.
Want to hear more from Gesture? Check out the rest of the Unhireable podcast on YouTube and Spotify. For even more content, follow us on TikTok and Instagram at gesture_UW.